Hello, everyone. This is the Triple Cross, aka Agbe Benipa. This video is going to be a bit different from the typical video that I do on reptilians. I'm shifting a little bit to show that there are good reptilians because it can't all be not one perspective. We need to show the totality of what exists. And this was brought on by my recent trip to Peru. Uh, my last channel, my main channel that was shut down, was heavy. I heavily exposed the negative reptilians without. I went hardcore. I don't know if you have had the chance to see some that works. I didn't hold back any punches. This was because of past life trauma, where I saw for myself, firsthand experience, how brutal these reptilians, uh, an element of them, can be. And I didn't wake up remembering the details in this lifetime, but it was more of a feeling. It was more of like a knowing from the heart level energy, which I didn't understand at the time, but as time progressed, I understood. So, my warning to you is do not let past life trauma hinder you, from seeing the bigger picture. Doesn't mean that you should ignore the other elements of the picture. So, in this video and other videos to come, I will be talking about good reptilians, the positive aspect of good reptilians. A snake, I will connect that in this video to the Bible. So let's begin. This is impromptu. I've learned a while ago that some of these impromptu videos are the best videos. So let's begin. I should be presenting. Let's begin with what people ridicule. Reptilians controlling the planet. Planet, right? Some people don't like that word. I don't care what you call it. Flat Earth. That's another issue. Maybe I should address. I'll address that. Hopefully, maybe I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I don't know. There'll be a point where I can connect that to the whole flat Earth slash globe thing later in this video. Let's begin. Reptilians. Well, could her story be true? Well, to me, it's really irrelevant. Is this a continuation or is this? All right, I just lost connection. I'm just gonna continue, and then I'll just put this out in bits and pieces again. I'm not going to spend hours editing these videos. I'm gonna just put it out. Anyway, it looks like it's recording again. Let's make sure that it's presenting. Okay, all right, stop presenting. I'll just stop presenting and redo it to make sure. Just a quick recap here. Reptilians are real. Humanoid reptilians are real. Um, Again, I am the triple cross. I call myself the triple cross. I have 3 crosses in my hand. Actually, 4 crosses now. AKA Agde Beni Pau. Because of past life trauma, severe abuse. We call this, the attempt to put me under. And those reptilians, those bad elements of the reptilian species, got an ass whooping. I'll never forget. At least I was smart enough to get myself out of that group controlling the universe. I'm told that council's losing control and that the AI is getting stronger and stronger. Well, whatever. Whoever is going to continue controlling the universe is not going to be any more merciful. So please pay attention to the broadcast, because whatever happens, you have the power to be the one man or a one woman or whatever gender and your frequency there is to outwit them and kick their ass. Of course, all this is due to purity, integrity, not lying, being truthful to yourself at all times. It's that basic. Love is that basic. It's not complicated. It's not complicated. Listen to your intuition. So basically, to continue, I would like to shift perspective or just increase perspective here a little bit by talking about the good reptilians, because they do exist. This, as I said in the previous recording, is due to me trying to advance here. Good reptilians do exist. Let's begin with the. Let's just redo the whole video thing here. Let's just start over here. That is absolutely true. We all have some reptilian seams. DNA in us doesn't take much. You just have to observe yourself. The tongue, the eyes. I mean, but those who are in positions of control are not. They have a lot more, and They're not trying to better the world. That they will say one thing. The elite will say one thing and do the exact opposite. So these are the bad reptilians. They do exist. It's like this. It's like you go through life being indoctrinated through the school system, through religion or whatever not. And then one day you begin to pay close attention to your peripheral thoughts. For whatever reason, maybe perhaps because you've had enough of the pain and you've been ignoring, you notice you've been ignoring your own questions, or you've had evidence before you that shock and shook you out of your cognitive dissonance, whatever the case might be. Um, Reptilians are real. Uh, for me, I just have to put the picture together. Uh, I know for a fact that mermaids are real. I saw one when I was a kid, and because of cognitive dissonance, I wasn't able to put the picture together. This is how bad the deception goes. Science says that we use less than 10% of our brain. We use about, but they say, well, they actually said that we use about 10% of our brain. But that's not true. We don't actually use 10% of our brain, our mind. We use a lot less because think about it. They also say that we can access less than 0.00001% of our senses. But which is it? Are we using 10% of our mind, brain? Are we able to perceive less than 1%? Listen, if we're able to perceive less than 0.0000001%, that means that we actually use less than 0.000 whatever 1% of what is actually possible. So our DNA, our sense of perception has been reduced to a level, an unbelievable small level, just enough for us to survive. Well, because the vast majority of us have a light inside, we can tap into greater sources of intelligence when we dare, when trauma occurs, when we want to love. It's either extreme pain or a curiosity or love. So I want to tie this into the Bible here and maybe get into the flat earth uh, stuff here. But let's keep going. All right, so let's look at here. Serpent in the Bible. How does this connect to the Bible? I just typed in serpent in the Bible, and it says here on the screen in Google, the Hebrew word Nacham. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. The Hebrew word is used to identify the serpent that appears in Genesis 3:1, the Garden of Eden. In Genesis, the serpent is portrayed as a deceptive creature or trickster who promotes as good what God had forbidden and shows particular cunning in its deception. Well, I assume that we all know the story of the serpent telling the woman or the man and the woman to eat of the tree of knowledge. Let me see here. I was reading. Used to describe. Okay, so let's just read a little more before I go into a personal anecdote here. Okay, so in Genesis referred to a serpent who triggered the explosion. Okay, in the Hebrew Bible, the book of Genesis refers to the serpent who triggered the expulsion of Adam and Eve from the garden in Eden. Serpent is also used to describe sea monsters. Examples of these identifications are in the book of Isaiah, where reference is made to a serpent-like dragon. So serpent, dragon, reptiles, that's all under one species. If you look at cats, small cats, household so-called pets, these pets will not evolve, or they will decide in other incarnations to become what they're working toward. So a cat will become a tiger or a lion and so forth. So all around us in our frequency, i.e. dimension, we have examples of things waiting to become out of pure decision, because everything is pretty much intelligent. We're just not smart enough or haven't tapped into our greater wisdom or knowledge, because mostly because we've been programmed or choose not to. Okay, continuing here. In the book of Amos, where a serpent resides at the bottom of the sea, serpent figuratively describes biblical places such as Egypt and the city of Dan. The prophet Jeremiah also compares the king of Babylon to a serpent. The Hebrew word is used to identify the serpent. We just saw this earlier. A trickster, a serpent, a trickster who promotes as good what God has forbidden and shows particular cunning in its deception. First of all, let me say that the word God is a bastardized word. There's no such thing. There is source consciousness. So there is a grand light, which you can think of as God, but the word God has been twisted to mean something that we should worship. That's not the case. Source is source consciousness, for those who are more aware, is far more powerful than quote unquote God. Source, let's just say that the game darkness lost the game before it even began, is just holding on to the inevitable, which is it will be pulled up, it will be cleansed. That is why some of us are here, straight from source consciousness. This is my last life, by the way. So all the exposures are for a reason. I usually show my face for a reason. And that reason is basically, when it's all said and done, that you cannot be touched if you choose to embrace total integrity, total purity, no lying, no acceptance of darkness. You don't have to be perfect to begin with. As long as you're showing yourself, your higher self improvement, that is all you need. Continuing on the screen, it says Eden right here. The Hebrew word is used to identify the serpent that appears in Genesis. God placed Eden. So the word God, what does that mean? So that should be small letter God, not capital God, because what people are actually referring to as God is actually source consciousness, a huge column of light that exists outside of the so-called universe. The universe is finite, not infinite. Resources are finite, unless some being comes from source consciousness and adds to that richness. The word God should be in small letters. It should be in a small letter. It should be a small letter word, God. Basically, it is not a good word. It's a word referring to those who are manipulating us in the universe. all beings, humans and extraterrestrials alike. God placed Adam in the garden to fend it and warned Adam not to eat the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and they that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die. There's no death. It's just a transformation. Death is merely a transformation. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only change form. Of course, there is joy of changing form, and there's also the possibility of extreme pain if you choose the wrong path of embracing darkness. So the whole Bible thing, to summarize and to say what I'm trying to get to, the snake, the positive reptilian here, the snake is not a bad being. It takes courage to want to help. And so the reptilian here is painted in a bad limelight. Is basically the image was destroyed. Reptilian, the serpent was merely trying to help the so-called God or extraterrestrial being, was basically dumbing down human beings so that they wouldn't understand their true nature, which is basically that they are infinite and that God, the way we have been told, isn't the way things really are. Excuse me, I'm multitasking here. I think I should focus on the video here. So they are good reptilians. You shouldn't let past life traumas, whether you remember it vividly or through your heart energy, through emotions, interfere with the bigger picture. Because when you do, you will make mistakes like I did. I explained that in book 1. Okay, so what brought about the change in this exposure? Well, I went to Peru recently, and my shaman, there were many things that have happened, including a shifting of frequencies, meaning dimensions, frequency, things that shouldn't be. People who were dead actually were revived. That's not possible. That's not possible because in another frequency, they didn't really die. Specifics would be in book 5.